I think gentlemen in the expecting. It's a big and exciting time. And so much is happening around the talents, the great talent, the business, and stuff. I'm trying harder. You ended up taking options. But I'm very quickly just ask you a question. Answering is start by telling us name, what you do, and then for second time you put my the answer that. So the question is always the name, target, what you do, ultimately, and then big response. So my first question would be how can Africa and maybe collaborate to keep on globally competitive or globally relevant something? I agree of Africa. Collaborate. You globally relevant or globally competitive. Um, You live first when you do that. Thanks. Right. West Africa. Thank you so much. My name is Dr. Ali. I'm actually South African, but been based in Dubai for 6 years now. I'm the Vice President of Sheikh Multimedia Technologies and Mining Group, and the MD of EdRive, where we connect ambassadors, investors, and innovators to the global ecosystem beyond GCC. Um, to answer your question, since I work with the government of Africa, Office of the President in Africa and the GCC, what we do is we connect them to partners and innovators and SOCs, stakeholder companies within the whole GCC. So the main point of doing that is also to attract talent. We also form partnerships with the universities and companies that sovereign wealth funds that do investments within these universities to attract talent and also to take back the talent back to Africa. Because as you know, we have the youngest youth population in the world. That's where talent is. So UAE has the investment. Africa has creativity. So overall, the framework connects. And that's how I believe talent, innovation, and the cooperation between everything works between Africa and GCC. That's why you've seen a lot of bilateral relations between different countries. You've seen a lot of visa easiness between African countries and the GCC because they want to coordinate the partnerships that are happening between Africa and the GCC. Thanks so much. Thank you very Thank you, sorry. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Kate. I'm Tarek Ahmed Nizami, the founder and CEO of the CEO Club. But let me mention first, I'm a replacement of Mr. Ramesh who could not be joining us due to health issue. We at the CEO Club have been working in Africa for a long time. So that's one of my goals here, that especially that more than 15 countries that we manage at Dubai Expo, which happened a couple of years ago, and out of that, 9 countries of Africa pavilions that we manage, they have the states and everything. And I think the relationship between the UAE and Africa is very strong and it's not new. It's been going on for decades. And if you look at it in Africa, the 54 countries, I think majority of the ports between all the ports in Africa is managed by DP World. And DP World is one of the largest port handler not only in the port, I would say AMR and different major claims here in UAE on investing in Africa in different areas. Like Zanzibar is one of the areas that I understand one of the ship projects are going on. Energy sector is another major sector that I think Africa, which I'm personally involved in setting up some of energy projects in multiple countries. We had set up with in Ghana and also in Africa. I think one of the industries that UAE is very focused on is agriculture. And I think agriculture, if you look at the land, if you look at it in Africa, the whole land, I think the whole Asia, whole China, everything can fit in the Africa in the land wise. So this is the biggest asset that Africa has is the land, and I think we as the international business community definitely should look into that. The opportunities in multiple sectors, and some of the sectors I mentioned. But not only this, we had experience with the youth of Africa.
And youth is very active and very intelligent. And I think the population, correct me, is more majority is youth. And also that I have we have a good panelist with us. I have interacted a lot of major CEOs in high positions in Africa, and I'm very glad to see that most of them are women leaders. And they are a great representative of Africa and different nations. And so that's what we as a CEO Club have been doing it for more than a decade plus, involving in Africa. And I think, you all should look into those opportunities. And thank you, Ken, for the opportunity to be in the panel. Thank you, Dr. Tariq. Let me Okay, thank you very much. At the outset, thanks to Adam Global and CEO for this wonderful event. And bringing better talented talk of time to make the song. I did the bullet points, so I don't miss anything. That's what I'm doing this out my former minister of water. Thank you for being here, sir. In my view, Africa is getting importance as it's the largest and second most populous sea planet in the world, with the biggest Americans. Kilometers. Here, if you look at Europe, with 500 billion, US with 400 billion, here we're talking about 1.4 billion people. And that is as good as India and China. So we control 30-40% of the world. The other statistics which is interesting is that the country is poised for a huge population by 2100. It's again with the medium age level, which is particularly very low. So if you look, Africa is in the growth sector today. That is at 54 countries. And the best part is there are 33 trade missions here. And these trade missions will help the boost trade between UAE and the African countries. The most famous SEPA agreement, which reduces the cross-border tax customs duties. UAE government is already in progress with Angola, with Kenya and Congo. So this all increases the trade rate of it. But of course, Africa is something where we have to start. And 2025 to 2050 is known as the year of Africa. So everybody is awake. Talking about myself as I forgot. And Dr. Rajeev is carrying me this way. Fast. So I'm Dr. Rajeev. I've been in this country for more than 3 decades. And I had a development consortium basically in the field of making PhDs. And we operate across MENA and back areas. And they've been lucky that the footprint is there in 90% of the 50% of the leagues here. So it's been there and we are basically bringing in African markets pursuing further the last 2 years. I'm also happy to have one of the directors of ISPA who's an expert of African market, Mr. John Mayer now for about 4 plus years. So it's Africa to the world or world to Africa. That's so important thing. I think my answer is more interesting. Everybody's laughing there. Nobody's listening. All right, thank you, Mr. Raji. Uh, is Mr. Chege able to join us virtually? No. Okay. So I'll go straight to the next question. But this time, without taking to time, it works with building governments and trees use. What would you think are some of the regulatory policy items that can make a difference in the global talents that will affect African youth? And that's it. And then let's make a really like in this department, really now sensitive official around. Thank you very much, Kim. No, definitely, I think every country in Africa, if you look at it, the country that we mostly work with, have different vision than let's say, we work very closely with Senegal, we work very closely with Mozambique, Zimbabwe, Tanzania, the president, when we hosted it 2 times here in UAE. What I see, every Africa, they have a different vision, like every country has something to offer. And we talk about regulation. We are very proud to say that we see club they for few countries make economic strategies. We made the UAE and that country the tourism policies, how to grow the tourism and how to not only grow the tourism, how to enhance the tourism and everything. Because I believe that any investment going to any country in the world, including Africa, tourism has to be paid attention first because that's how everybody goes there. first look into that environment, look at the culture, look at the food, look at the business environment. This is very important, and definitely the safety and different issues that every country, it's not only Africa, every country faces that in different shape and form. Uh, but I feel that the direction that we had in our SEAL club and so many years that they are very, very professional African people, different countries. When they come here in UAE, we had a lot of delegations that we had interacted with, that they come with a focus in their mind. And then they try to achieve that. And I think that's the one of the areas that UAE business community is very focused because we have a 200 nationality. They all want to keep. It's not the opportunity in UAE, it's through the opportunity that people get connected to different part of the world. And Africa definitely is one of the top dish because you have a project for every budget. That's the key part is that in Africa. So I think in our interaction as a CEO club, we have a very good very harmony business environment and relationship with most of the countries that we deal with. And I would say one thing that I say in Africa that we as a business community have to be very because government change very quickly there, every 3, 4 years. So we have to see that how we continue our relationship as a business people. So that's what we face sometimes when the government change, the new policy regulations comes or change in regulations. So this is what I think that African countries have to work a little closer to keep the international business community intact and continue the projects and commitments that they are committed for that country. Well, thank you so much, Tarek. But I'll just pick one aspect of what you talk about tourism, and of course, you can talk about tourism with having visa policy. I'll take this to Calvin. So, Calvin, would you think focused visa policies between UAE and Africa help in setting global talents? What's your think?
Thank you so much, Dr. Ken. Um, I think visa focused corridors in the GCC, between GCC and Africa are very important. I'm just going to give one example. In Uganda, there's one private university. It's called King Caesar medical hospital. So what they did is they came here and said, look, this is the only private owned university in Uganda, but we want to create more scholarships for our people. And the ones that have graduated, we want them to come to the UAE, understand how does the medical field work and which technologies they can take to Uganda. And then from that point on, UAE and Uganda has they established the bilateral relations in 2014, I think, and that was part of the agenda on increasing the visas. Then they did the scholarships between UAE and Uganda. But right now, we have 57 graduates that came from Uganda that understood what is the mandate of them coming here and taking back the skills to Uganda. Now they're the best doctors within Uganda and also they're training other medical students in other countries like Kenya and Tanzania. But the visa corridors are very important. But as you know, there's a lot of restrictions now. Like Nigeria has been banned again because of many other political things, of which I cannot go into here. Many of you know what's happening, but within the trading sector, DP World, AD ports, they are investing a lot in Nigerian ports and tourism. And besides the visa restrictions right now, there's still business happening. But what we lack within the African, I'm African as well. I deal with a lot of delegations from Africa. The governments, we lack the structure to be able to distribute the investment that we get from different countries. So if we can create structures within government or our ministers and presidential team can be able to understand the structures of investment or how to attract foreign direct investment and how to keep it sustainable so that other countries within the GCC or outside the GCC can be able to say, look, they have done this with the funds and we want to increase more funding for them and we want to increase more visa allocations for their students, for tourism, for many other things. So that's my insights.
And I think it's important to note, I am Nigerian, even though I'm resident in the UK, but I'm Nigerian, I still carry a Nigerian passport, and I'm able to come into the UAE anytime to do business. But we're more interested in focused visa corridors. Now, we all know that Africa represents, is not just the next frontier. You talk about technology, it's green. Technology absorption is increasing by the day. The young talents in Africa is just waiting to happen. With policies in the US where it's not difficult to bring in experts, there are young coders, young technical people all over Africa. And we believe that UAE has set a pace in innovation. UAE is already a global leader when it comes to innovation, when it comes to technology transfer. If UAE and Africa can agree, like you mentioned in university, and agree, yeah, not everybody should come, not every young boy on the street, but if there are direct, deliberate, focused visa corridors, which is entrenched and developed over time, we see that this marriage between these blocks can unlock tremendous opportunities for the world. With the aging population in the West. And I think the theme of this event speaks to that. The East is now the new West. So, but I'll come back to you, Dr. Ranji, sorry. What is the place of regulatory sandboxes? You lead the construction, the European construction giant. So you work at the intersection of Europe, the UAE, and you also have strong presence over the last 2 years in Africa. Is there a place for regulatory sandboxes, yes, different words, or whatever you think?
Today, when anybody talks of construction, they say, wow, construction is good. But I don't think they make much money on it. It's too complicated. Coming back, I have two disabilities, I think two now. So I made the point. But before I go further, I told you I've been here for 3 decades. But last 5-6 years, you see, in the global forums, we get a lot of African collaborations. The CEO Club itself, we had the Mozambique facility, we had a delegation to Mozambique and Zimbabwe, Sri Lanka, Nigeria, of course, one of the best shows. So I've just made a note of 3-4 things which I feel is right. So I feel that Africa is just not rising, it's rolling these days. 54 countries and countless trade corridors. It's less than a continent, but it is more than a construction site possible. But again, we need to have the endurance, the patience, say people come to the wire conditions who want it. Africa is a fabric of 54 countries, the culture varies, the demographic varies, the demographic varies. So there should be a long-term plan for the companies going in. The import-export landscape is very diverse. So the rail export will be more hostile than the human. So some other people. Okay. My advice to companies: don't just drill into the markets, go into the depth of the local country, have a real planners, purpose, and pick the way forward. And about UAE, of course, UAE is a rich. We have our own regulatory standards. We have the highest expectations in place, and I feel it can work quite a lot into training of manpower in Africa. It can go to the next level. In fact, as a corporate, we are making a proposal to the 3 African embassies in Abu Dhabi to do an event in Dubai where all the embassies are a part of it, and we put in the trade companies. And the earlier slogan I said, Africa to the world and world to Africa. Like this I'm making a presentation to the league in Abu Dhabi. So we are very upbeat about Africa, and with this world of tariffs and all those things, I think Africa is a new hope, and let's all work towards it. After the panel, everybody needs to discuss on a one-to-one basis and more than ever. Thank you, on my super expert. Thank you very much, and you have been handling the sessions too well.
Thank you very much. All right, but you said something that touched me. You mentioned the word bridge, and that's the concept.
Emotionally, it touched me emotionally.
Not too emotionally. I can see it's very funny, man. Okay, but the UAE Africa bridge. UAE has become a global hub for innovation. With that clear, Africa clearly also is the world's next frontier of growth. And we see consistently that in around the world, capital is beginning to look for meaning. UAE is known for business beyond profit. For the UAE, we see, and even through the Islamic bank instrument, we see that business is not necessarily all about just profit. Now, my question is, and this goes to all of you, I'll start with Dr. Tariq, how can we align investment flows into Africa and the global south that has real meaning. I'm talking about impact, things around human capital development, social impact investing. What kind of vehicles, how do you think you can do that so that capital flows into Africa from the GCC and of course can have a beyond profits?
First, I want to make a one comment, that who introduced me to Africa is a gentleman called Ken Giami, sitting with me 15 years ago. So that's how we started the Africa journey, So I'm very thankful to you for giving me the right way, looking into that. But before I answer your question, I want to make one other comment that Africa, if they have to pay attention to one industry which they are not, is aviation. And I find it that in Africa, if you go to one country, if you go to the neighbor country, you have to go to the third country first. So I think Africa needs a good aviation system between domestically in Africa only, because the international business community always like direct. They don't like to go. And we were taking a delegation, we had a tough time coordinating how to go to a neighbor, which is only maybe 1 hour flight. It took us like 7 hour flight, by going into Kenya and South Africa. So that's one industry, I think, aviation that Africa need to expand in multiple ways domestically, And I think you mentioned human resources and different areas, And if you look at it UAE, I think there's a good number of human resources are inducted from different African countries, and there are certain industries are definitely, you see, majority of different nations that they are, and they're very devoted and good workers and everything. And regarding the innovation that, I would say that the youth, the young innovative, they are very, very, very smart, And I think in UAE, as we all know, is AI and blockchain and all these buzzwords that the future is. And if you go into the depth, even in UAE, you will find a lot of African countries working in that and having the branches here, but they're back end in Africa. Even call centers that I understand here are run in different African countries and everything. So I think that's one way of getting more awareness in this part of the world, or I would say UAE or GCC area, that have more African youth coming up with a new vision, new startups, and be a part of SME, which I say, sorry, I just want to correct. People say SME, it should be SMES, and S means startups, So that's how people should look into that. And UAE or Dubai or UAE is a land of opportunities. And anybody, I think we all are here in multiple nationalities. We all came here with a vision, with a mission. And I'm very focused, and look where we are today. I came here 19 years ago from USA, two people. Now I have thousands of people and everyone in this room also. It's all about how you focus. And I think if African community, business community, youth, or different areas come here, and I think there is an opportunity. And don't look at UAE again, opportunities. Is through UAE, the world is open to you for the opportunities in all sectors.
Thank you. Okay, let me take a lead. How can investment flows really affect humans, social impact?
Thank you, Dr. Ken. So I believe if you invest, like right now, there's a lot of investments happening in AI, but if Africa wants to lead in this, they should invest into their people, into their youth. They should leverage on this, the youngest population in the whole world, and invest in technology. If you invest in communities, in the people, that's where you get the results. Then the technology can be plugged. And also, just to add on the aviation part, remember, in Africa, we're still growing in terms of infrastructure. Many airports are being expanded. Technology is being implemented within that. So we're getting there eventually. It's a slowly but surely we'll get there. And for innovation, let's see. UAE has done a lot of innovative projects, and Africa really want to perform that, want to be at that level. But the only way to do that is also to bring in the key people that are within the decision-making part. Here, they learn and then they go back. For me, I'm only here to understand how to get the investments from them, from the sovereign wealth funds, from the banks. There's a lot of banks that are based in DRC, but they have the African branches here. They are here to get the investments in terms of this government and also help them structure the investments. So, in my opinion, I believe in getting to, okay, I'm a product of fellowships and apprenticeships to Africa. I did a lot of government fellowships where I understood how governments work. The last one that I did was NASA Youth Fellowship in Egypt. It was from the Ministry of Foreign Direct Investments and Ministry of Sports. We learned a lot in terms of how they attract investments. If you check the northern African countries and the east and west and the south, they have different structures in terms of how they operate, in terms of how they attract foreign direct investment, in terms of how they innovate.
I'm going to cut you
Yeah.
because they've seen that time. But I think the point is made. But let me take your thoughts finally before we wrap up.
No, I'll do the short version. The point here is very simple. The question was addressed in the banking system, which is the most important thing. I think that has to be taken to a level between the governments. Because now the banking systems in Africa, sorry to say, is not as easy as the Europe or Asia. So I think the embassies and the trade missions and everything should have a dialogue with the government. And that is the only thing what we get. Because Ken's question is to the point. Once the trade happens to proper banking systems, things will flow. So I think it's not about building for Africa. I think the message is building with Africa. So it's a joint effort, joint action, joint thing. And like Tariq touched, those points are also valid. The internal trade, travel, air systems between Africa, the logistic thing, all okay, develop over a period of time. And I think banking is the most important thing for a free international trade. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think the point has been made. Almost every investment sector in Africa is a good business. You're not just going to go home with a profit, you'll be doing good business beyond profit. And using the aviation sector, for instance, you're cutting travel time. You're very correct. I travel around Africa. Trips that should take you 1 hour will take you 7 hours. There are trips within Africa will fly to Europe first before you fly back to Africa. It's easier to get to other parts of the world, and all of that can change by investing in sectors like that do good beyond just profit. And lastly, I think the point has been made that our greatest resource is not below the ground. Africa is rich in natural resource, but our greatest resource are our people. And every investment that impacts people in a positive way is an investment in talent research and in changing the global economy. So I think it's been a fantastic opportunity. We can't take all of the things we wanted to, but our permanent members are around. Please engage with them after now. And if you want to do business in Africa, we are more than happy to lead you and work with you going forward. Thank you very much. And let's have